All right. In today's episode, I want to go over a little bit about three lessons from my trip to California. So, I went to California last week and it was a good time. Basically, I went to go see Michaela and her family because they live in California. And so, hold on, let me get my notes up here. Okay. So, yeah, I kind of went to California just to see Michaela a bit more, but also to visit her family. And I have a friend, actually a client at seminary in Menlo Park in San Francisco. And so I went to go see him. And yeah, there were just a lot of reasons for me to go. So that is what I did. So I learned a couple lessons from going, and I want to talk about those. And these are the three lessons I learned. So number one, now that I'm coming back, documenting my life and sort of this process of where I want to go, which is, dropping out of school, having no money to achieving all of my dreams and the vision that I've set out. And I want to document that because I don't think a lot of people do document their life. And it might be interesting. We might learn a thing or two. I wish, Elon Musk would have documented his life. I think that would be pretty cool. I'm not comparing myself to Musk, but there are some people who would have been cool if they documented their life. So we can see how they learn and grow. So that's kind of what I want to do. And that follows with talking about some lessons I learned on my trips, right? The second lesson is that I should have gone to Canada. So I had a trip scheduled after California, and I think I should have gone, and I'll talk about that. And then number three is no more breaks. So I took a break from podcasting, and I have made the decision to take no more breaks. So we'll get into that. All right, let's get started. So documenting my life is something I want to do. I have a belief that when it comes to social media, the biggest driver of your growth is you just being you, being authentic, and sharing your life with the world. I really think that's the best way to build an organic following, an organic base. So there's that. But also, I want to see for myself what kind of man I develop into, like how I change. Because I know the mindset, skill sets, and habits I have now, the belief systems I have now. But what about 10 years from now? I'll probably have to be a different man to handle like a $5 million company. I'll probably have to be like a completely different man to handle like a $50 million company. And I'm excited and curious to kind of see what that turns into. Like, what has to change? I probably have to become like more in control of my emotions, more disciplined, more virtuous, probably more pious. Probably the obstacles are going to get harder. So overall, I just want to document it because it should help you guys. Like if you ever, I harp on not working a job you hate. And so maybe me documenting this whole process will give you guys some hope. Like maybe you watch it and you're like, oh, well, if he could do it, I could do it. And I lay out exactly how I do it this whole time. You guys can just watch me. And hopefully that gives you some insight on if you want to do it yourself. So I think there's a lot of perks to documenting my life. Okay. Anyway, let's get into why I should have gone to Canada. So just a quick background. I flew out to see Michaela. I was there for a week visiting her family. And then after that week, I was going to go to Canada, Kelowna, British Columbia for a influencer / like fitness coach event. It's very exciting. And I was scheduled to actually win an award there, which was very nice of them. But I decided not to go. And I think this stems from one big issue, which is leading up to the trip, or trips, I should call them. Work was business was growing a lot, and I was starting to get like it was a lot. It was pushing me, and I was slacking a bit on my daily habits. Like I was finding myself, what's the phrase? Like you're always trying to catch up. Like you never feel like you accomplished everything on your list by the end of the night. And I felt this going on for a couple weeks, maybe probably a few weeks before the event. And I don't like to use the word burned out, but I was not executing tasks at a level that I usually am. Like I could tell that about myself. Okay. So fast forward, we go on the trip, go to Cali, and I'm trying to manage a new employee, still handle inbound Catholic guys that want to join the program. And then, visiting, Michaela and her family, which takes time. And so looking back, if I were to reflect, I think I could have done a better job at managing, like, this is time to visit. This is not time to work, right? Because we can't say we should work all the time, because if you don't establish like a healthy relationship in your life, like a loving woman and then a family, I mean, just objectively, your limbic system is going to go crazy and you're actually not going to be able to do as well at work. So the argument that you should just work all the time is actually, it's wrong. So what I have to be better at is, when it's work time, I work, and when it's relationship time, it's relationship time. And I don't, when I'm visiting, I'm not thinking about work. And when I'm working, I'm not thinking about visiting. So that's probably a skill I'll develop over time. It was a good lesson for me to learn. But anyway, I'm there. I've got a lot going on, trying to handle new clients and new employees and whatnot. And then it's about time to go to the Canada trip. And there was no direct flight. I'm flying out of Fresno to Kelowna, going through customs. There's just a lot. And I'm like, you know what? And then when I was going to be at the event, it was like, 2-3 days of just constant event stuff, not like I'm working. And I kind of just got nervous about the whole thing, worried that I wouldn't get a lot of work done. And I just decided to back out. I bailed, even though I committed to going, which is not like me. So it's an interesting thing that happened. Obviously, all my friends at the event were like, where are you? Why aren't you here? And then it was kind of awkward when I won the award because I wasn't there. So that was interesting. But overall, I guess the big question is like, do I regret going? Do I regret not going? Excuse me. And I think the answer is yes, I do. But not that I regret spending more time with Michaela and her family. I think if I were to run it back, if I were to do it over, I would have gone earlier, spent more time. I would have also compartmentalized the work time and spent work for work, turned off computer, turned off phone, and then spend time to visit and be fully present in both, which is really the secret to life. Like, be where your feet are, be present when you're doing something. If you're praying, focus on prayer. If you're working out, focus on the lift. You're visiting, your girlfriend's parents, focus on that. So anyway, I would have gone earlier, spent more time, and then I would have stayed true to my commitment of going to Canada. So what's the big lesson here? I think the big lesson is priorities over comfort. I can look back objectively and say that like networking and going to those things are objectively good for my business, and I should have gone, but I chose the less hectic route. And I've realized that. So in those situations, if I feel hectic, I have to ask myself, am I choosing comfort over things that are high priority? Because, this always comes back to like stress and whatnot. Nothing's ever that stressful. Like, we live in 2024 America. The stress system is it's an ancient like mechanism of our brain to protect us from life or death. And we don't need to worry about that anymore. So stress is usually completely a waste of energy. So just something for me to consider. And then also, I should have gone just because events matter. Like, keep that in mind. If you're in business, or even if you're in like fitness, whatever you do, if you can go to an event for your thing, your niche, your industry, that's good, because it gets you in the room with the right people. That's so important. The way you grow is by getting in the rooms with the right people, because you become who you surround yourself with. And so it would have benefited me, and it would have benefited others. Now, I've been to events, but probably should have gone to this one. All right. There is a silver lining though, which is, well, obviously I got to visit, which was good, but there's another silver lining, which was I got to relax a little bit more than I do typically. Like, I did take time away from work. And since I was finding myself starting to get burned out, I don't think I was fully burned out, but starting to, I realized that this kind of rest and relaxation helped me a lot, because now I'm back and I've had like 3 days where I've just crushed it. Meal plan, workout plan, rosary, like I'm not missing. So that's great. So I think, like, as a final reflection, you need time for rest and relaxation, but you have to do it appropriately. And then you probably don't need tons as much as you think. You probably don't need two weeks on a beach in Hawaii, but some time can be good. And then also the big thing is stick to your commitments, because that'll mess up your self-belief if you start breaking commitments. So don't do that. All right. Final lesson, no more breaks. So I took a break from podcasting. And I think the reason I took a break was because I told myself, I don't have enough time to podcast. I was like, I don't have time to like do this. I have to post on social media, train people, manage clients. And that's irrelevant, right? Busyness is irrelevant. The question I have to ask myself is, what are the highest leverage tasks I can do for me and my business and my life that's going to make me the most progress, right? So Um, if we stick to business, it's very high leverage for me to do a podcast every day for 5 years, because that would make me such an authority, establish my brand so much. It's just a compounding effect. And everyone kind of intuitively knows that. Like if you listen to a guy who made a podcast about Catholicism for a year, 5 years straight, you would listen to that and be like, dang, this guy's pretty serious. And it would help the brand, right? Especially, and even from a personal side, if you are doing high leverage tasks for your personal life, like it's very high leverage to eat clean, because you're going to see a lot of output from that. It's very high leverage to work out. You do the work and then you see like health and wellness for 50 years. That's like a good thing. So anyway, I kind of just had to look at myself and be like, well, you're doing a lot of work, but it's busy work. You're not taking the time to do high leverage tasks. And so, yeah, I just had to kind of stop myself, take a step back and be like, yeah, no more of that. Like we're going to start executing on tasks that matter. We're going to start executing on tasks that make us the most progress. And yeah, that's kind of my reflection from my trip. It was a good trip though. If you guys haven't been to California, it's very pretty weather. So yeah, I think I'll end it there. I just wanted to do a little reflection and kind of reaffirm my purpose of making this podcast, which, you know, in a sense is, well, in one part to document my life, but I think in another sense to build the brand, and then on a third to just kind of let me have a place where I can do long form content and spout my thoughts on things, because as you guys know, reels, you know, you don't always get super deep in a reel. So this is a good outlet for me. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. I will continue to go live much more often, and yeah, no more breaks. So just to recap, 3 lessons: documenting my life is something I want to do. Number 2, I probably should have gone to Canada. And then number 3, no more breaks. So hope you guys enjoy. If you do, drop a like, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. God bless.